Question 12. A equals x subtract 4 multiplied by x plus 3, all divided by x multiplied by x subtract 1. For 12a, work out the value of a when x is equal to negative 1. For 1 mark, we're just going to substitute negative 1 into this equation and work out the answer. X subtract 4 would be negative 1 subtract 4. And it can really help if we actually write down the full question before trying to solve and simplify. In the next bracket, x, which is negative 1, has a 3 added to it. And all of that would be divided by negative 1 multiplied by negative 1 subtract 1. Now we've got the numbers in, we can just solve each bracket and then come up with our final answer. So negative 1 subtract 4 is negative 5. That would be multiplied by the second bracket, negative 1 add 3, which is 2. Negative 1 take away 1 is negative 2, so that's negative 1 multiplied by negative 2. Negative 5 multiplied by 2 is negative 10. Negative 1 multiplied by negative 2 is a positive 2, which gives us our final answer of negative 5 for 1 mark. Question 12b says when x is between the numbers 2 and 4, we have to circle one of these statements. So what could really help is if we work out what the answer would be if it was 2, what the answer would be if it was 4, and see if those two answers match any of these statements. So when x is actually equal to 2, which it cannot be, but this would give us the lowest end of our possible range of answers, we would end up with 2 minus 4, which is negative 2, multiplied by 2 add 3, which is 5, all divided by 2 multiplied by 1. So negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. Again, we can see here then that we can possibly have a negative answer. What would happen if we put in x is equal to 4 then, just to see what the maximum possible value could be? 4 subtract 4 is 0. 4 add 3. Well, it doesn't matter what it is, but it is 7. 0 multiplied by 7. And then 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. We end up with the answer is 0. So none of these answers are actually positive. A can be 0, but it's not always. A hasn't given us a positive answer yet, so we could assume it's not going to between these two numbers. So if we know it can't be positive during these two numbers, we would cross that one off, leaving us with this answer. But it would be a little bit naive if we assumed that it couldn't be, so a very good idea to check would be to pick a number in the middle and see what would happen as a check for our final answer. What would happen if x was 3? 3 subtract 4 is negative 1. 3 add 3 is 6. Multiply this by 3 times 2, which is 6, gives us an answer of negative 6 divided by 6, negative 1. It proves that between those two numbers, even the number in the middle, they're all negative. And because it cannot equal 4, all the numbers leading up to that will be less than 0, which makes all of our answers negative.